With the Heart of Deimos update we got some really exciting additions to Warframe: the Necrolisk and the Cambion Drift infested open world, the Necromech, the Helminth system, the community Warframe Zaku, and some really awesome new weapons. Today we will take a look at the new Deimos companions. From Sun in the Necrolisk you can get two new kinds of companions, the Predacite and the Volpophyla, with 3 subspecies each. To obtain one of these companions you first need to capture a weakened one in the wild. You can find them fighting with the infestation in the valley fairly often if you take out your trank rifle while fishing, mining, or following the conservation trails. You can also find the trail start for the Predacite or Vulpophyla, follow it to the call point, where you can use the pheromone gland to spawn a Panzer Vulpophyla or medj Predacite. You will then need to either let it get attacked, or lead an enemy to it. Once weakened, you can trank it and call to collect it. For the revivification process you will need a mutagen that will give your companion elemental resistances and an antigen that will determine a polarity slot, and both will change your companion's looks. You will have to purchase both blueprints from Sun, and make the antigen and mutagen in your foundry. The blueprints are reusable and will require materials you can find in the Cambion Drift. When it comes to antigens, the ones giving the Vazaran polarity are the most useful to have, since they will allow you to put a health, shield or armor mod on the ungilded companion. They are the cheapest mutagens and the ones you can get once you're rank 1 with the Intrati family. Since they don't give any cosmetic changes, you might want to go with either Naramon or Madurai polarities. The least useful one is the Penjaga polarity, since the companion has one by default where you can put fetch. The precepts only take 3 capacity at full rank, and there aren't any other mods that I'd consider essential with that polarity. Considering the standing and materials cost, it's not really worth it, unless you like the cosmetic changes. The mutagen you choose will grant your companion resistance to certain damage types, proto-shield resistance to puncture, heat and corrosive, cloned flesh resistance to impact and gas, alloy armor resistance to slash, electricity and magnetic, and robotic to slash and toxin damage. It's hard to say which of these is the most useful one, and since you can increase your companion's survivability more significantly with the right mods, you might just as well go with the one you like best or the cheapest one. As with other modular items, you will have to level your new companion to level 30 before you can guild them. Gilding will cost 10 Sun tokens and 5,000 standing. Instead of gilding, you can release the leveled companion into the wild, which will give you 10 Sun tokens. This is an alternate way of getting them, if you really hate doing conservation and don't mind using the cheapest antigen and mutagen and leveling the companion. Once gilded you will get 1 free polarity to add. I suggest using Vazaran here. You will get mastery experience once you get them to max rank. You will be able to purchase an Orokin reactor to double their mod capacity, and most importantly, give them a name.
Needs a name. What's it to be?
The Vizier Predacite has the precept Acidic Spittle, which lets them spit at enemies and do 120 corrosive damage, an Iatric Mycelium that heals 300 health to the companion and allies that stand in it. It is probably the most useful of the Predacite abilities, even though it's not that convenient since you need to stand in the spores to get the effect. Still, it increases the Vizier Predacite's survivability, and it can be nice to have a bit of healing for frames that may need it occasionally. Since the Vizier Predacites are pretty common, I'd recommend picking one up. The Pharaoh Predacite comes with the precept Anabolic Pollination, which releases a cloud of spores that increases toxin damage. It sounds useful, but the area of effect is so small it really only affects the companion himself. It also has the precept Endoparasitic Vector, which spawns tentacles that deal viral damage and slow down enemies as they move away from it, though I'm not sure if the slowing is even noticeable. The medj Predacite is the rarest Predacite, and it is the best damage dealer out of the Predacites. It has the precept Paralytic Spores that open enemies up to finishers, and Infectious Bite that deals a good bit of damage. Combined with the 304 base damage value, it's worth building this companion for damage. So if you want a companion that watches your back while you're doing something else, this one is a good choice. The vulpophyla deal less damage than the predacites, but they have much greater survivability. On death, the vulpophyla will return to its larval form, hovering above your warframe. While it's in this form, other mods will be inactive, but it will return to its true form after 30 seconds. You will never have to worry about reviving your vulpophyla or losing the enemy radar or fetch. This makes them especially good for long farms, where your other companions might get killed eventually. In addition to sly devolution, the sly vulpophyla has survival instinct, which will increase your evasion by 40% on kill, for 8 seconds or until your next attack. This might be an oversight, but it doesn't count abilities as attacks, so it stays active. This makes it a bit more useful than I initially thought, if this doesn't get fixed. 40% evasion isn't exactly broken, but it's nice to have if you are using mostly your abilities. The crescent vulpophyla has crescent charge, which deals 200 puncture damage, lifts the enemy for 8 seconds and amplifies the damage while they're lifted. The panzer vulpophyla is the rarest vulpophyla, but it's the one most worth getting. The viral quills precept lets them shoot quills with 40% chance to proc the viral status effect. And if the enemy already has viral, it adds spore, which will spread the viral status effect to nearby enemies. This is extremely useful when dealing with higher level enemies, since viral status increases damage to health by up to 325%. It means you can put corrosive on your weapons, and still get the damage boost from viral procs. If you're going to get only one of the Deimos companions, you should get the panzer vulpophyla. Which companion you choose will depend on your playstyle. If you want to boost your primary or melee weapons, use the sentinel weapons. If you want a critical chance boost, use the cavets. And if you want companions that you never have to worry about, use the vulpophyla. And if you want a companion that spreads viral procs everywhere, get yourself a panzer vulpophyla.